Hello students, here I am going to discuss about embedded system hardware. We know the embedded system is a combination of hardware and software, means on the same board hardware components and software are integrated. Here I am going to discuss about embedded system hardware only. This is the block diagram of embedded system. Here we can see ARM processor, interrupt controller, memory controller and bridges, arbiter and various input output devices, memory devices, everything. The block diagram is divided into four major components. They are ARM processor, controllers, peripherals and bus. ARM processor is used to control the whole embedded system. There are different types of ARM processor. Based on our application, based on our requirement, we can choose the best processor. This ARM processor is having ARM processor core and surrounding components. This ARM processor core is responsible for processing and executing the instruction and manipulating the data. Next we have controller. Controller is used to control major functional blocks of the embedded device. There are two major controllers, memory controller and interrupt controller. This memory controller is used whenever the external memory is connected with the embedded device. The interrupt controller is used whenever the embedded device is interrupted by other devices. Next, peripherals. Peripherals are input-output devices only. This is nothing but through which the user or outside world can communicate with the embedded device. Next is bus. Bus is used to communicate all the parts of the embedded device. First we will see about embedded system bus. ARM bus technology. Embedded devices are always using on-chip bus only, means it is inbuilt bus. So here we no need to connect the external bus for the embedded device. The bus has two architecture level, the physical level and protocol. The physical level is responsible for electrical characteristics and width of the bus. The width can be 16-bit, 32-bit, or 64-bit, etc. The protocol, it defines the rules for the communication between processor and peripheral devices. The protocol, we'll see about protocol. AMBA bus protocol. This is advanced microcontroller bus architecture. It was introduced in 1996. The first AMBA bus introduced ASP and APB. ASP is ARM system bus, ARM peripheral bus. Later on, it introduced ARM high performance bus. Out of these three, ARM high performance bus is the widely used one because it provides higher throughput than other two buses. This AHB is having two variations. They are multi-layer AHB and AHB Lite. Multi-layer AHB allows multiple bus masters. AHB Lite, it allows single bus master. Bus master is which device enabling the communication is called bus master. Next one is memory. All the embedded system must have some form of memory to store and execute code. Before choosing the memory for the embedded device, we have to analyze the cost, performance, and power consumption of memory. There are memory characteristics such as hierarchy, bit, and type. So we'll see about all the characteristics of memory. First one, hierarchy. Hierarchy is nothing but memory arrangement in the system. So this is how memory is arranged in the embedded system. First cache memory, next main memory, next secondary storage memory. Cache memory, this is placed between main memory and the ARM processor. So it is closely located to ARM processor. But this cache memory, it will not support for the real-time system. It increases the system performance. Next is main memory. It is placed between cache memory and secondary storage memory. Main memory, mostly it will be stored in another memory chip. To access the data from the main memory or to main memory, we can use load store instructions. So based on our requirement, we can choose the size of the memory chip also. That is our wish. Next is third one is the secondary storage memory. This is the lowest memory and also it is the slowest memory also. For example, hard disk we can say it is a secondary storage memory. Next is width. Width is nothing but memory width is a number of bits the memory retains on each axis. The memory width has a direct effect on the overall performance and cost ratio. Because if the width of the memory is less, that memory will be less expensive, but it will reduce the system performance. We can see the following table in embedded system. There are two modes, ARM mode and thumb mode. ARM mode will be accessing 32-bit data and thumb mode will be accessing 16-bit data. If the memory size is 8-bit, if the memory size is 8-bit means the width of the memory is 8-bit. To process the 32-bit data, it takes 4 cycles. If the memory is 16-bit wide, it takes two cycles to process the 32-bit data. If the memory is 32-bit, it takes only one cycle to process the 32-bit data. Next case, thumb mode. In thumb mode, if the memory is 8-bit, it takes 2 cycles. If it is 16-bit, it takes again 1 cycle. If it is 32-bit, it takes 1 cycle. So from here we can see as the width of the memory is reduced, the number of cycles are increased. So if the number of cycles are increased, then obviously the performance will be reduced. Next is types. There are many different types of memory. Read-only memory. It is the least flexible of all the types of memory because it is permanently set at the production time and cannot be reprogrammed. So this ROM memory is used where in which there is no updation and correction required. Next is flash ROM. Flash ROM can be written as well as read, but it is slow at writing, so we cannot use this for holding dynamic data. This flash memory is used for holding the device firmware or storing long-term data that need to be preserved after the power off. Next is dynamic random access memory. Dynamic random access memory, it is most commonly used RAM devices. It has the lowest cost per megabyte compared with other types of ROM. It is DRAM. DRAM is dynamic because it needs to have its storage cells refreshed, and for every millisecond the data need to be refreshed. Next is static RAM. It is faster than the DRAM, but it requires more silicon area. The SRAM is static because it does not require refreshing the data. The last one is SDRAM, synchronous dynamic random access memory. This is one of the category of DRAM. It can run at much higher clock speeds than conventional memory. It synchronizes itself with the processor bus because it is clocked one. Next is peripherals. Peripherals are input output devices through which the external world or user can interact with the embedded device. A peripheral device performs input and output function for the chip by connecting to other devices or sensors. Each peripheral device usually performs a single operation. Next, last one is controller. Controllers are used to control the functional devices of the embedded device. There are two major controllers, memory controller and interrupt controller. Memory controller is used whenever we are connecting external memory with the embedded device. Whenever we are connecting external memory, those address need to be mapped with the processor memory. So all the memory devices are called memory mapped devices. Next, interrupt controller. Interrupt controller. Whenever the external devices needs a service of a processor, embedded device processor, it has to raise the interrupt. All the interrupts will be handled by interrupt controller. Through the interrupt controller, ARM processor will be getting the information about the external device and the external devices will be serviced. Uh, Next, there are two types of interrupt controller available for the ARM processor, the standard interrupt controller and vector interrupt controller. The standard interrupt controller sends the interrupt signal to the processor core when the external device requires servicing. It can be programmed to ignore or mask an individual device or set of devices. Here we have interrupt handler, which determine which device requires servicing. It makes the priority list ready. Based on this list, the devices will be serviced. Next, vector interrupt controller. It is more powerful than the standard vector interrupt controller because it doesn't require interrupt handler. for prioritizing the interrupts. It themselves will do all the things, and the external devices will be serviced. Thank you.